The Toronto Raptors go in to face the Charlotte Hornets without LaMelo Ball. No LaMelo Ball. So just to clarify on that term, and this is after losing 4 of their last 5, and certainly the season is very much hanging in the balance. And what happens? The Raptors come out, they face an early double-digit deficit, and they play catch up the entire game. Of course, in the fourth quarter, towards the end of the third quarter to the beginning of the fourth quarter, Scottie Barnes, I think he really, really picked it up. He ends up with a triple-double, 31-point triple-double. The Raptors can't buy a three pretty much the entire night. It was a tough loss. It's a tough loss to a team that isn't very good, that's missing by far its best player. Where do you go from here? So, in this live, we're going to be doing quite a few things. Number one, certainly if you want to call in, it's a call-in show. Call in, let's talk about it. The second thing I want to do today is I want to talk about Dennis Schroder. He had a very interesting interview with Blake Murphy and William Liu, and I think that it is worth breaking down, and we will do that at some point tonight. I don't want to do it too early, but at some point I want to just go into what he said, because I think that I don't want to apologize in advance. I'm very sick. I remain very sick from the last live. So I'm going to try not to cough too much, and I'll try to cough away from the mic. But yes, I spent most of today sleeping off a very high fever. So anyways, let's get on with it. From the Raptors side, if I told you to start the year that there would be a game in which all of your threes would be made by Scottie Barnes and Precious Achiuwa, you'd probably think I was crazy, or that half the roster was injured. OG Anunoby goes 0 for 6 from 3. Dennis Schroder 0 for 4. Pascal Siakam 0 for 1, right? Off the bench, you get Gary Trent Jr. going 0 for 3. He goes 0 for 7 on the night. So, tough. Really tough. Tough game for Gary Trent Jr. I mean, to end the night on 7 attempts, 0 points, all the steam that we've built up about Gary Trent needs to start. I think part of it is this, right? He's always, historically, he struggled coming off the bench. I think he would do a lot better as a starter. But nevertheless, Gary Trent Jr. struggles on a night that they really needed him. One player who did not struggle was Precious Achiuwa. He goes for 17 points, 10 rebounds, 4 turnovers, but you live with it. 7 for 10 from field, 3 for 4 from 3. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Scottie assisted on every single one of his made 3-pointers. Very interesting. And then Chris Boucher was, wow, 9 shot attempts in 13 minutes. I think he was not the super efficient night from Chris Boucher, but he was so instrumental in one of those runs. Like, he was running the court. He had a lot of energy. I think he had 2 stints, one in the first half, one in the second half, and they were both very good stints. Like, they both coincided with an energy shift for the Raptors. So good game for Chris Boucher. I think Malachi Flynn had a great game. Absolutely great game. Like, very tough. I think defensively, hustle, everything was good. Jakob Poeltl, kind of just meh. Kind of a meh game. Not great, nothing bad, nothing great. OG Anunoby, really interesting, like the way he started out the game, just sort of attacking the rim, just getting to the front of the rim, dynamic finishes, etc. Just a tough shooting night for him. I think defensively it was average, not great. So not the greatest OG Anunoby game for sure. Pascal Siakam was good, like really good, man. He was tough. Like, he got to the front of the rim as well. He got to the line. He was, getting and ones. Like, he was a really, really big part of how they closed the gap the first time around. In terms of Scottie Barnes, 12 for 18 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3. 4 for 8 from the free throw line, including a tough miss at the end of the game, where he gets fouled. Terry Rozier goes under his foot, and it was tough because ultimately, you just want this guy to be able to make those 3 free throws, but he has a tough shooting night from the free throw line, and you could tell he was really kicking himself for missing that first free throw. He makes the second, he makes the third, and then he misses the game-winning three. So, I mean, kudos to Darko Rajakovic for sort of trusting him, but I would have liked to see a play drawn. This is not the type of player that you can just hand the ball to. I mean, very few players in the league are the type of three-point shooters that can just get a contested three off of no movement at all. I think it was a terrible play call. If that was the play, I doubt it was the play to close the game, but if that was the play call, terrible play. Interestingly enough, when the Raptors were down, I think 15 or 17 points at one point. Let's just look at the team stats. We'll look at the Hornets stats for a second. Gordon Hayward, 24 points. Brandon Miller, a rookie that I was very, very down on at the draft, but certainly I need to change my view on him. He's been really good to start this year. 20 points. I thought he was really good. Miles Bridges with 22 points. Mark Williams, 4 points, 3 rebounds. Felt like more. It felt like more. Terry Rozier with 21 points. They had a really balanced attack. They get 15 points off the bench from Nick Richards, and PJ Washington just comes in and drills 3 after 3 after 3, 3-pointers. And what was part of, at one point in the game, the Hornets were shooting 65% from 3 in the second half. I mean, they cooled off and they finished the game 52% from 3. That's crazy. Just gutless defense, really. I mean, that's probably the best way you can put it. Yeah, I mean, they led wire to wire. You can just see it right there. Really tough. The Raptors shoot 18.8% for 3. I mean, when you consider the gap in their 3-pointers, like 18.8% on higher volume versus 52%, like the fact that this was a 3-point loss is ridiculous. I think the Raptors defense was the culprit tonight in terms of, like, from my perspective, like what was the reason they lost. I think that was it for sure. There are no callers so far. I guess nobody wants to talk about this game. So we will look at some comments here. That's true. Why did you feel bad for Scottie? Maybe we just suck. I don't think we are bad enough that I don't think the play was drawn for Scottie. Probably Gary Trent Jr. He just was found open. Dude, Siakam is not good. He used to shoot 3. Now he don't. Well, he's shooting 19% on the 3 for the season. So personally, it's okay. I think on a night like tonight where, where he manages to get to the front of the rim and get into the paint and collapse the defense. I think, he was just offensively tough. Like he attacked the defenders. Like it's just a really bad defensive team. I'm just gonna be honest. Like they're not a good defensive team. I think Mark Williams is, a fairly positive defender, but apart from that, like their perimeter defenders are just pretty gutless. And I think overall, like this is just not a team that you need to worry about too much defensively. So really, this is just poor offensive execution mixed with you playing really poor defense. I mean, it was a layup line for them. There were so many backbreaking plays, and I think that the call that Steve Clifford calls for the challenge on OG Anunoby, I think that was a big momentum shift. But for me, interestingly enough, so when the Raptors were, I think, down 17, I placed a bet on the Raptors to win this game. And they were up 5. I want to say they were up 5 for a bit, like right there, if you can see that. They were up 5. And right there, I cashed out because right there is when Dennis Schroder came in the game. Okay, so we don't have callers, so I guess I'm going to be forced to do the Dennis Schroder thing. So I want to take you guys back to what Dennis Schroder said, and I want to preface all of this by saying a few things. Okay. Wow, the Raptors are really 9-13, and the Hornets are 7-13. This is really close. Okay, so I want to preface this by saying a few things. Number one, as my girlfriend can attest, there are very few people in the world that have spent more time listening to police interrogations and court documents and just in general. Like has been a big fascination of mine for the last 10 to 12 years. I actually wanted to be a lawyer when I was growing up. So this entire concept of, what do people say in these high leverage moments has been a really big thing for me. I really I've been obsessed with trying to understand how people deceive. Why do they, and this is a big reason why I think I was able to call out a lot of the Fred VanVleet stuff last year. It's because I was listening to what he was saying and what he was not saying, how he was structuring his words. Because I think I mentioned this a couple lives ago, people want to tell the truth. So they give you subconscious cues as to what the truth actually is, even when they're consciously trying to lie. You understand? So I think a lot of people have come out and said that Dennis Schroder was, he held himself accountable, that he came onto the Raptors show and he admitted that he had a bad game and that he held himself accountable and that he took responsibility. It's a great thing for a leader, etc. And I got to tell you, when I was listening to it, I noticed a lot of things that I feel are red flags in terms of how he said what he said and what he was actually saying. And so I want to go through this 6 to 7 minute, clip of him, and I'll stop where I feel some attention is deserved. I've talked to a few people in the Raptors media space about this. They don't necessarily agree with me, but that's okay. I think I'm looking at this slightly differently, and hopefully by the end of this, you'll understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. Okay. Again, guys, I'm so sorry if this is like the most dead live ever. I'm trying my best, but I do have like 100. Oh no, call link is broken. Okay, wait 1 sec. Okay, that makes sense. I will fix it. Sorry, guys. Uh, okay. It what? What the hell? It's not working. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna post it in the chat, and hopefully y'all can call in that way. I apologize. Oh, Jason, I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay. There's your call-in link. Okay. Jason, if you want to call in, you can definitely call in using the link here. I apologize. I'm not able to, for some reason, update the description. So I'm just going to keep posting it periodically. Here we go. Jason, what's going on, man?
Hi,
Hey, how's it going?
not bad. Um,
You there? Hello?
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
How's it
Not too
going?
much.
How's it going? How was the game for you? What are your thoughts?
Are you talking? Are you talking to me? Because I keep hearing somebody else.
Who are you hearing?
I don't know. Maybe it's a weird echo.
Oh, that's weird.
Sorry. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. So, what did you think of the game?
it was very hard to watch.
Yeah,
It
I can
wasn't
imagine.
very entertaining game.
Yeah, I can imagine. Are there any takeaways in terms of what you would change about this game in terms of starting lineup, or do you think this team is just like what do you actually think is wrong with the Raptors right now?
Dennis Schroder definitely is a big problem. Siakam, Pirtle. Uh,
Yeah. Are you the same Jason Watson that messaged me on Instagram? Hello?
there's something really going on weird with this link. It's like keeps playing back.
That's damn. Okay. Let me okay. Let's try to bring NY4 Raps and FA. Okay. I hope you guys are not having trouble.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. How you doing?
I
Oh,
can hear you, but I'm going to be muting my phone from time to time because I'm on the train going back.
Yes, sir. Okay, so FA was actually at the game tonight, so that's interesting. Yeah.
it
We're
was a
gonna
it was a good game. Great game. Great. Scottie. He did everything. And I watched their commentator, and their commentator was all about Scottie. The no look pass and everything. And the commentator kept on saying, if these guys have shooters around him, I wonder what he can do. So
is that
the,
the Charlotte podcast?
yeah, that's the one they showed on my side. So it was a great game to watch, but I don't understand why the coach had to bring in the starting lineup back. The starting lineup that put us in the same shit. It brought them back again to put us back in the same hole. Schroder was a mess. Gary Trent 0 of 7, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, trash, 20 minutes wasted.
Hmm.
That's just like 20 minutes of my time wasted watching Gary Trent play.
Oh man. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
lot. It was all in and out. Every shot was
Eh,
in and
Every
out.
shot. Yeah.
So I'm going to give a quick analysis, right? And this is not from me. This is from one of my colleagues that we went to the game together. This is the first time he's watching most of the Raptors players, including Scottie Barnes, right? His analysis was like, you know what? Scotty reminds him of a young LeBron James. That the Raptors would do well if they trade some of the veterans and let Scotty start making all the mistakes now. And he said Pascal scored 23 points, but you can tell that those points were not impactful points. That you can see that Scotty can do it all. He controls the game. He can shoot three. He can defend. He can pass. Like he literally can do it all. That he doesn't know why Masai is dragging this. That sometimes you have to just trade some of your veterans and get your young players and then rebuild. And he mentioned teams like OKC, Orlando, and he also said that he's a Golden State Warriors fan, right? That this is the time to like trade with Golden State because they don't want to waste the final years of Steph Curry. So, but overall, it was a great game, and I'm glad that we played. Scotty played well, and they lost, so that the farther they are from 500, they're going to force Masai to make a decision.
Exactly. So Scottie with a third triple double in his career. Excellent triple double, 20, 31, 10, and 10. Immediately those guys came back, there was no assist again from him. Nothing. So that tells you we need to change the starting lineup. One, we need to do a trade. Two, this is not working. Dennis Schroder kinds of offense is not working. Defensively, Dennis Schroder came back. I think it was 4 or 5 minutes in, or no, 3 minutes in or so. Came back to back 2 fouls from Dennis Schroder, defensive fouls, horrible. So something that they got to make a trade quickly, so that at least so that Scottie can now start growing. Let him be the owner of the team. Period. I know you talk about Scottie so much. Now I need to talk about Scottie myself. Period. Looking at this game, it's all about Scottie. Period.
And you realize that we were 1 point down when they put in the starting lineup, and we lost by 3 points. So go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was great in terms of just commanding the team, right? In terms of commanding the flow of the offense. I mean, there was a play that Alvin Williams brought up where he's going down the court. Chris Boucher is camping out in the post, right? And OG Anunoby is cutting on the left side. And he is, while dribbling, directing Boucher to get out of the way because he's about to pass to OG.
Twice. And there's
It
another time
wasn't even only that play. He did it the whole game. And the interesting part is, right, you can tell a lot from the chemistry of the team when they were doing well, right? Dennis Schroder was really, really happy for Malachi doing well. But Pascal was just at the end of the bench. He wasn't standing with the rest of the players. He was like literally close to the end of the bench. He wasn't really engaged with the team. So he's just feeling through the motions.
So exactly. So there was a particular time the commentator was saying Ashua should give way. Scottie is screaming to Ashua. Ashua is on the same lane as OG. So Scottie was telling Ashua to shift. So it is so sad. Ashua does not know where it belongs. It just looks lost in the court, even though it made some good plays today. But it's not in the right place at the right time. It's just running. It just doesn't know where it belongs.
Yeah.
And I think Malachi should play more with Scottie, right? If they trade Schroeder or Pascal, right, Malachi will grow because it's true as the game went on, right? He started playing a lot better pick and roll with Scottie because initially Scottie would set the screen then roll. Malachi won't pass the ball. Then later Scottie started calling him, give me the ball, give me the ball. So that really made a big difference. And then that gave Malachi more confidence as the game went on.
Yeah, true.
No, I think it's interesting because I see Scottie directing traffic all the time. Even when he doesn't have the basketball, he's telling guys, pass to this guy.
Williams said
every
is the
play.
floor general. He is the general of the floor. He directs traffic. Follow his instructions and put shooters on that team. Put Scottie in Golden State. That is, they'll win the championship. Period.
It's never win the championship. Scottie will average 15 assists in Golden State. Easy.
Easy 15 assists every night. Easy one.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like I think his passing was a little inaccurate today. A couple of times he just kind of threw it once to OG, once to I think Siak. Like there was just a lot of times where he was a little inaccurate. He wasn't as sharp as I would have liked him to be.
No.
31, 10 and 10.
I'll counter that, right? I think those inaccurate passes because Scott is way ahead of it. He's expecting the players to move to the right place, right? So the pass is going when the players are slow. They're really, really like his IQ is way above the others.
No, I get that, but I think there was two passes specifically. One was to OG when he found him in the corner and it just kind of slipped out of OG's hand, and then one was sort of alley-oop, I think, to Pascal Siakam. I think both passes were inaccurate. So there was
that alley-oop was a really good pass. It was a good pass. Pascal wasn't ready for the ball. It was a really, really good pass. Then what about the other pass that? Yeah, it was a good pass because we're like, wow, Pascal jump or something like that. I remember the pass. It was, I think, on the second half.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that was a really good pass. It slipped through Pascal's hands. Then several of the passes also slipped through and this guy's and Jacopodo.
I think you just have to know who you're throwing it to. Like, you know, if OG is not ready to catch the pass and you throw it to him and he turns it over, I mean, nobody wins. But anyways, yeah.
They're playing with Scottie. They know they're going to get the ball, right? Scottie was literally two or three times under the rim and he passed out for a three-pointer. I think it needs to be a little bit more selfish for them to start winning.
Yeah. I mean, he took 18 shots tonight. I think easily he could have taken 26. I don't think anyone would have had a problem with that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyways, you guys are gonna
Imagine putting Scottie in like Indiana Pacers, right? That's literally the same thing that Tyrese Haliburton does.
right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Tyrese Halliburton, I'll close with this and just ask you guys this question. So there's been a lot of talk recently about Tyrese Halliburton, the Pacers being ready to make a trade.
Mhm.
So do you think that Pascal Siakam or OG Anunoby, one of these two guys
No
or
good.
both, fit with the Pacers? And because they seem to be, this is what you need if you are Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster, right? You need a team that A, needs your type of players, and B, is desperate enough to pay your price for them. And I said this earlier, there's going to be a team that is going to come out and emerge, and they're going to think they're ahead of where they are, and they're going to want to do a win now move with OG or Pascal. And I think with everything that's happened in Indiana this year, with the emergence of Tyrese Halliburton, maybe they've sold themselves on the fact that shit, like we're ready. Like we're ready to compete. And if they win this, in-season tournament thing tomorrow, I just feel like they're really going to sell themselves on like, okay, let's trade 3, 4, let's trade 2 picks plus young players to get our final piece
Mhm.
for Tyrese. Would you want to consider trading one of those 2 players?
I'll
I
consider.
think
I will not trade OG. I'll only trade Pascal. We need OG if we're gonna. I mean, OG is still young compared to us, Pascal, and Pascal needs to go for Scottie to grow. So I will not trade OG. I'll keep OG and trade Pascal right away.
And I think
Yeah.
OG the 3 and D player, right? You need those kind of players. But I think Indiana they're likely ready to do a trade for Pascal because they know that it's a small market and they can give Pascal the max and keep him. And Pascal is not like the number one guy, right? So with Tyrese Halliburton and they have a defender, a really good and big man that defends, Pascal is
Mhm.
going to do well there.
Right.
And Pascal always play well against them, so that's also a plus.
Yeah,
That's true.
true, true.
Any final thoughts, guys?
I want us to lose the next 3 games to force my side to make a decision, and I also want Indiana to win tomorrow. So I think they're going to have trading partners because um, Golden State Warriors is not doing well, so they're likely going to Pascal fit well there too. So we'll see.
I can't wait for December 15th.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't wait.
yeah,
It's a week
yeah. You
away.
go.
It's
Here
a
you
week
go.
away.
All right, thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Okay,
Cheers, guys.
feel
Have a good
better,
one.
man. Go take a lot of vitamin C and zinc.
I've been taking emergency, like vitamin C drink. Yeah. It's
Uh huh.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I know
All right.
dairy product.
All right. See you, man.
All right.
All right, guys. Bye.
Okay. Let's try to bring Jason Watson back on. Jason, is it better now? Your mic is off. You got to unmute your mic.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it was so embarrassing. Every time you'd say something, it would like rewind and keep replaying it. So I had like you talking like 15 times over again on repeat backwards. It was really weird.
No worries. No worries. People were saying you were high, but I was like, I don't think that's it.
No, I did chemo all day today, so I
Yeah.
feel like I'm high, but I'm not.
Yeah, to anyone who doesn't know, Jason was the person that we were shouting out in the last live, and he mentioned that he has stage 4 cancer and that he has been watching these lives during. So I'm really happy you called in. Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for calling in.
I just really have a question for you. It might be a stupid question.
Sure.
I don't really even really know how to ask it. Chemo's gave me a hard time to recall words. But I'm just wondering all the plays and like actions and picks and roles, and I don't know a lot about basketball. I only started watching it like 5 years ago. But what are we running and like what are the plays called? Like there's always like elevator screen or like fancy words. Like I'm curious, like what are we running? And do you think that those are the right actions and plays that we should be running in our offense? And like should we be running more of certain plays and actions and certain screens or less of other ones? And is there any of those plays or actions and stuff going on? Because I see other teams, it seems like they have a lot more stuff happening behind the 3-point line, for example, and opening it up. Seems like all we can do is a pick and roll down at the net and score and deep in paint. So I don't know. Maybe it's a stupid question, but
No, it's not a stupid question. I think the broader point of this is, I think it comes down to personnel as opposed to, specifically like plays. Like, who are you running through? Who are you running from? Who are you running? Sorry, for. Um, who's your play finisher? Typically, and just your roster construction in general, right? So you take, I don't know, a player like Dennis Schroder, for instance, right? Like, so we run some screens for him to get downhill, and he's not overly efficient, right? Or we'll push it into Scottie in the post, and then he'll find corner shooters and etc. And I mean, it makes a difference when those shooters are shooting, 18% versus 40%. So it does come down to personnel, but I think mostly our issues stem from the fact that Dennis Schroder leads the team in touches per game at 80. It's never going to be a recipe for success when he's like initiating your offense so much. He gets into the paint. He does get the paint touches, but he's not really a threat to score in there. Yeah, so I think there's spacing issues galore, but yeah, I mean it's worth asking. I don't think overall the issues that the Raptors have is that they're not running the right plays. To be completely frank, I think the issue that they have is that they have the wrong lineup combinations, the wrong players playing together a lot, and maybe there's a lack of talent, like actual basketball talent, guys who can dribble, pass, and shoot. When I look at a player like Gordon Hayward, it's very easy to argue that he might be one of the more complete players. Had he been on the Raptors, he might be your second most complete basketball player. You know what I mean? Like, even like you look at the Hornets team that we played tonight, and it's like they're missing their best player and they beat us. And because they have so many complete basketball players, or at least somewhat complete basketball players that can dribble, pass, and shoot. Yeah. So I would like to see us reorient our roster, go a little bit away from, this long wing to a more diverse player type, downhill guards, dynamic, paint finishing, dribble drive, guys who can really get it off the bounce. I think one of the reasons why Dennis Schroder is even in the starting lineup is because you need someone who can break his man off the dribble. But I think it's low-hanging fruit. I think you need a player who's a lot better, who's that type of player. Yeah.
does Ron Harper getting waived today have anything to do with roster changes coming up?
Well, they already signed, I forget his name, something Porter. They already signed someone to replace Ron Harper Jr. I should have mentioned that in the beginning of the show. So Ron Harper Jr. gets waived, and yes, he got waived because he's having season-ending surgery. And yeah, so we signed Michael Porter Jr.'s brother to a
What's
yeah
he
his
like?
He's a center. He's 6'10". He was undrafted in 2019. He's okay. I don't think he's that great, but I mean, it's like, what are we gonna have, right? Yeah, and plus, someone saying Otto out, not a good feeling. Yeah, Otto had a foot contusion, which is a fancy way of saying a foot bruise. I think he'll be fine. Yeah. So it's Jonte Porter. There we go, Jonte Porter. Yeah, I don't know. It could be interesting. He can shoot, and he's a big. That's a good thing. Yeah. Are we warming up for a Michael Porter Jr. trade? I don't think so. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I really, this is such a weird live because I'm just like so shocked that they lost. Also, I mean, I tweeted out in the first quarter, like if they lose to the Lamelo-less Hornets, like does someone need to get fired, traded, or something, or will we at least get a lineup change? Feels like the Raptors are pretty hell bent on starting this starting lineup, even though they continuously come out to these really horrible starts and dig themselves this early hole every single game. I really think tonight, like that Scottie plus bench unit looked great.
That was the best part of watching the game tonight, to be honest. The rest
Yeah,
of it was really hard to get into.
yeah, it really was. It was it was just so masterful. I mean, even if defensively it wasn't perfect, but like offensively it was coherent, and you just think about it, you're like, this one guy can get a lineup with Gary Trent Jr., who doesn't make a shot all night, and Precious Achua, who's barely a rotation level player, and Malachi Flynn, who's definitely not a rotation level player. Like, if you just put the ball in this guy's hands and you ask him to create and you ask him to initiate, and like, what was interesting about this unit was he was the number one option, and he was the de facto number one option, and the ball kept finding him, and whether you put Boucher in there or then you replace that with OG, like it was just a really good lineup, and it didn't quite crater until Dennis Schroder comes back into the game. But yeah,
I'm sick of watching him. He needs to leave. I can't stand
well,
Schroder.
December 15th, man. But I don't necessarily think other teams are dying to get to pay him $12 million. I think there's a really fair case to be made. I think he's shooting, hold on. So he shot 0 for 4 tonight, I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, I think over the last 11 games, he's shooting 27 or 28% from three.
Yeah, and he gets all the shots. He takes all the shots. Yeah.
He does.
It's really frustrating.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, man?
No, that's everything. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And thanks for calling in. And I hope you feel better.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. As better as can be. Okay.
Yeah.
Take care, Jason.
Take care.
Bye. Okay. Yeah, so Dennis Schroder goes 0 for 4 tonight from 3, and I think coming into tonight, the last 10 games, he was 29%. So, yeah. Okay. Hey, I think he can be traded. He's not a bad value, I would say. Try to get Andrew Nembhard and Benedict Mathurin for Schroder and Siakam OG. I mean, personally, like Coach Mo messaged, hang on, I'm just going to post the StreamYard link again in the comments. Sorry, guys. I seem to be unable to post it in the StreamYard description for some reason. Not really sure why. It's really weird. Nope, can't do it. Okay. So, Coach Mo. Coach Mo, what's up?
The beginning of the game was interesting because Dennis is on thin ice, so like you're expecting the passive I'm gonna get a bunch of assists Fred game. The only difference is Fred's pretty good, so he can do it. But you can see Fred's brain frying in real time because it's like, okay, I'm open, but I can't be selfish, and it's like you'll always be open. That's the thing. Like, you're always going to get a shot. The defense wants Dennis to shoot. So it's like, this is an open shot. I can take this, but this is like my 4th open shot in a row and my 4th time turning it down early in the shot clock. Like he's struggling with the decision making because it's like they're leaving me. And he wants to. It's also, yes, guys, like Coach Mo's my favorite sideshow. Okay, so I'm gonna give this
side character in this show.
Side character in like The Simpsons, like a reoccurring character once every 2 seasons. But it's like Darko has a laminated sheet of paper. That's his rotation. He has framed it and it's hanging above his bed. So understand, and he has it backed up, saved on an Excel spreadsheet. He has the backup file saved. I don't know what it is with this guy. The thing that confuses me about Dennis is, okay, so Dennis is going to play off ball. He's going to play good cop, right?
Yeah.
So if he's off ball and he's just there to bring it up and then hand it over to the better players, why can't Gary just spread the floor then? Why can't Gary get every shot they're leaving Dennis to make? There was one play, I actually had to rewind it. Dennis is in the corner. Pascal's posting up. Jakob's guy and Dennis's guy, who's all the way in the opposite quarter, come for a triple team. You can't play this way and win. It's absolutely insane. So today, Siakam and Scottie in the starting lineup are playing with a shoebox. The only difference is they actually have the ball in the shoebox this time, right? They have the ball playing in the shoebox. Before, they were in a shoebox without the ball. If Dennis is not going to be on ball, what purpose does he serve in the starting lineup? It's crazy because they're just leaving him. You want this guy shooting 25 shots a night, every night. And
as I said, if I was the opposing team,
not taking open shots, it's. I can see the wheels turning.
Yeah, but I mean, like, look, man, if you're an NBA player, you got to take open shots. That's the sad part, but it's the truth, right? Like, you got to take them. What do you want me? What do you want? You want them to not take open shots? But that's the problem. It's like in the starting lineup, like them leaving him open disproportionately makes him like the first option.
Exactly.
Because then he's always the one who's not guarded. So then, you know what I mean? Like if you're not denying him, then he's the one who's always open, right? And if you're not going to guard him, he's the one who's always got the open shot too. Because obviously OG's not getting open shots anymore. Scottie's not getting open shots anymore. Pascal's not getting open shots anymore.
OG couldn't make a shot. They're still not leaving him.
Right. Because
Gary couldn't make a shot. They're not leaving him.
Right. And that's the thing where it comes down to process versus, just living by the moment. Like process is important. Like putting a guy like Gary on the court, even Grady. Like when Grady was playing, they never left him open. And nobody left him open.
This is where Grady struggling out the gate. If you just replace Grady with Malachi's minutes and Grady wasn't in a slump, bro, because not only do I not see the purpose of Dennis on the starting lineup, I don't see the purpose for Malachi. Now, today, Malachi played well, but the counter argument to that is Scottie Barnes was such a problem that when he's setting the screen, they're worried about him. So Flynn can work off that, right? It doesn't work if Achua is setting the screen, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really bad team, man.
It is.
I mean, I know they beat us, and I know Alvin Williams is probably, gonna go on a tangent about how, you can't play down to anybody and any team can win or whatever. But man, without LaMelo Ball, even with LaMelo Ball, you should beat this team. 100%, you should beat this team.
They have guys like Miles Bridges, who's really talented. They have Gordon Hayward. They have Rozier. They have guys who can make tough shots. They have what's that? The power forward. I'm forgetting his name. He's talented. It's just like they have guys. It doesn't matter if you play good defense. They're just really talented players, and they can make those shots. We have guys who can't make open shots. Like, it's crazy. Scottie should have 15 assists. Like, if you're watching the Indiana Pacers and you see some of the passes Halliburton makes, you're like, Scottie makes those passes. His team just doesn't make the shots. Like, it's crazy.
True.
Today is a Halliburton game where he gets 16 assists. Easy.
Yeah.
Like, he sleepwalks to 16 assists.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I think the Scottie Halliburton thing is actually pretty close. And if Halliburton is a little bit further on offense, I think Scottie's much further on defense.
Yeah.
I think the difference here is largely, play style.
Yeah.
And that Halliburton has the ball a lot. You
well,
know?
It's interesting you bring that up because it's like, it begs the question, that Indiana Pacers team, replace Miles Turner with Jakob Poeltl. How much worse do they get?
A lot worse. Yeah.
Replace Buddy Hield with Gary Trent Jr. How much worse do they get?
A lot worse.
Replace Nembhard with Flynn. How much worse do they get?
Worse.
Replace Precious Achua with Naismith. How much worse do they get? You see what I'm saying? We have Scottie,
Replace
OG,
Obi
and Gary.
Toppin. Replace Obi Toppin with Pascal Siakam.
What I'm
how much
talking
better
about,
do they get?
I'm comparing comparable, like somewhat talent age. Obviously, Pascal, OG, and Scottie would be the second best players on those teams. But it's not about talent. It's about fit. You could argue we have more talent, but the fit around the talent is so bad. So bad.
Yeah.
We're the only team where our best players have to fit around role players.
No, I agree.
It's like we're going to play Dennis and we're going to play Jakob. Scottie and Pascal, just figure it out. Just figure it out. Work around that. When it should be the opposite. In every other team, it's the opposite. And shout out to Will Lou. This is the last thing I want to say. Shout out to Will Lou's podcast. Not Will Lou specifically, but Alex Wong and Vivek Jacob and your boy Blake Murphy. Man, Blake Murphy was like, Dennis Schroder has played every single clutch time. He's been on the court of all clutch minutes. And Siakam's the only one who's also been in those minutes. Scottie isn't because of Darko's weird rotations where Scottie's at like the scores table when the game's on the line.
Yep.
Dennis's true shooting is 41%. That's what he said in clutch time. 41%. Scottie has the most usage. Dennis's usage is like 27%. Siakam is like, there's a big gap than Siakam, right? Today was another example. Did we need Dennis on the court at the end? Did we?
Absolutely not.
No. This is 2 games in a row. We didn't need him.
Yeah. Okay. So I was going to do this, but now that you're here as the resident Dennis critic, I figured you'd be better to have on for this. So this is the Will Lou. Have you watched this?
Yeah, I've watched it.
Okay. So I have a theory that Dennis Schroder is full of shit. Largely because I think that there are certain linguistic cues. Like, for instance, like I'll give you an example. Let's say you're, I don't know, like the introduction of the word but, right? Like when you say but, it sort of negates the thing that you said first, right? So if I say Coach Mo is a great caller, but, right? It negates Coach Mo is a great caller, right? It's typically and that amplifies, but that negates. So it's interesting how certain verbal cues and things that people say, right? For instance, to be honest with you. See, honesty is presupposed in every conversation.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you, to be honest with you, Coach Mo, this, or the other, because you expect me to be honest. The only reason I would say to be honest with you is a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm saying something to you that you don't expect me to be honest about. And I have to amplify or stress that I am being honest about this. Number two, I myself am insecure about the honesty of my statement. And therefore, I need to stress that I'm being honest. But the fact that someone would need to say to be honest a few times in a single paragraph is very strange to me. So I want to play this entire Dennis Schroder thing out, and I want to stop it in key periods. And I think people will. I mean, I'm sure that people will have issues. Some people will have issues and say, "This is quack science. This is whatever." But I think this is fairly intuitive. And once I point it out, I think people are going to get it.
You understand? Dennis, are you at the airport? Where are you at, man?
Yeah, I'm at the airport.
What's going on, Dennis? Okay, so obviously we got to start with the game last night. It was a tough one.
So first of all, the introduction. How many times have you seen a person who knows that they're about to be on a show do it whilst walking? Right? Like he's just kind of slowly walking around. It gives this introduction of just sort of, this is so impromptu. this is so casual. But he's a recurring guest on this show. I
So
heard someone
unimportant.
joke that he's basically the third host on this show right now.
A lot of discussion around your performance from yesterday's game. Take us through it from your perspective. What did you see from the game last night, especially down the stretch?
I mean, first half was great. I mean, we had 20, I think, assists as a team. But I think in the third and fourth quarter, we lost the game, or I lost the game there. You know, even end of the fourth quarter.
We lost the game, or I lost the game. Strange. It's a strange thing because he knew that he was going to say I lost the game, but he started with we lost the game.
Yeah.
I found that to be very strange. I think if you look back in the history of the world, you will seldom ever hear someone putting those two thoughts together in the same sentence. It's weird.
I mean, I just didn't bring it on the defensive end, offensive end. Just me being competitive.
So far, so good. This is good. This is okay. This is fine.
I got to be honest, look in the mirror, and
I got to be honest. Look in the mirror. This is veering into...
there was my game I lost, and I apologize to the team, to everyone, because that's not who I am.
This is where I say, fuck you. Okay? First of all, let me point out some very interesting stats about Dennis Schroder. Dennis Schroder has a lower value of a replacement than Corey Joseph. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Value of a replacement is a cumulative stat. So some years you're going to have +2, +4, +6. Some years maybe it's worse. So it's a cumulative thing. So Hall of Famers, plenty of Hall of Famers have like 60, 70, 80. He has 3.1 value of replacement on his entire career. Corey Joseph is 3.4 in fewer games. Patty Mills has like 9 value of replacement. I couldn't think of a single rotation level guard in the league that has a lower value of replacement over him than him. Fred VanVleet's played half as many games as him almost, and he has like a value of replacement of like 30 something. Or sorry, 14. So like he is so bad in terms of like the analytics hate this guy. 53% true shooting. And yet he has a career usage higher than Kevin Garnett, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Ray Allen, Klay Thompson. Like, my God, so many Hall of Famers, dude. And to someone, you don't get to this point without taking a lot of terrible shots. Because if you shoot 53% true shooting and you have 30% usage, something is very wrong there because you've never been a great passer. So this idea that this is not who I am, this is the manipulation, right? Because this is exactly who you are. This is who you were in Boston. This is who you were in LA. This is who you were in OKC. This is where you've always been. And to say this is like some sort of isolated incident, and it's happened multiple times this year, right? Multiple times this year where he's bet on himself down the stretch. Maybe it was never as egregious as it was against Miami.
Yeah.
But it's been bad, man. It's been bad throughout. So to say this is not who I am when every 4 games you do something like this is crazy to me. Anyways, plenty more gold here.
But I'm always honest to myself.
This is the second mention of honesty. A really big red flag so far.
And I got to be better.
Dennis, I appreciate that level of accountability you're having here with us and with the team. This is maybe hard to answer, but what is the process like for you coming out of a game like that, into practice today, into the flight today? Are you a big, hey, I got to watch back my film guy? Are you trying to flush it? Do you want to sit with that for a little bit as kind of, motivation for the next game? How do you process a rough night?
I mean, everybody can have rough nights, but at the end of the day, my family, my kids, being around them, I mean, it's basketball at the end of the day. Of course, I want to give everything I have every single night. Some nights you don't have it. I don't want to have, a lot of nights like that.
Okay. What do what does your family and your kids have to do with watching tape and your shitty performance on the basketball court? Always seems a little bit like a red flag to me when someone decides to veer the conversation where nobody decided to take it in order to make themselves feel a little bit better. So he's had a little bit of self-deprecating, commentary. I had a bad game. I apologize to the team. I need to be better, etc. Right? To be honest. And now he's turned the conversation over to, it's just basketball at the end of the day. My family. Like,
I
it's just
take a lot of pride
The
in
Russ
my,
approach.
in my work, what I do. But I mean, the most important in my life, is my family. So end of the day, being around them, before I went to practice, then letting my teammates know, that I, didn't mean to have a bad game, but we are athletes. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that we win as much games as possible. But I mean, I didn't have it, and I just got to bounce back from that. I apologize to the team. It's like, listen, that wasn't my best night, but it's not going to be like that no more. So everybody just got to look in the mirror. Like I said, flush this one. I still watch a lot of film. Still try to get better, watch a lot of NBA games as well. So I just try to learn every single day, try to get better, at basketball. And I mean, flush that one because there was some trash. But we are going to be, ready for tomorrow.
Dennis, when you said you said you apologized to the team, what did the teammates say about that? Like what's their response?
I mean, that was appreciative. I mean, they took it great. They said, listen, we all in that together. It was great to hear that as well because, I try to bring this team together and we still working on that team chemistry a little bit, 21 games in, but the next 19 games is going to, kind of identify who we are as a team, and I think we got to make a big push here now because we are a winning organization and the organization, front office, president, owner, they want us to win games. So we got to get it together.
Dennis, you mentioned the chemistry component last night. There was the closeout, but you guys also dug a bit of a hole early on. Darko was asked after the game if he's considered any lineup changes, changing the rotation pattern.
Uh-oh.
Darko's
Look at his face.
Look
at his face. Look at his face. Just like you did not go there.
Do you guys ever
This is hurting
practice
Lulu, by
that,
the
or
way.
do
This is
you
hurting
pretty
Lulu
much
with that.
just run as the starting five when you guys are going through practices and scenarios and things like that?
Please notice what the question is, which is basically, have you guys considered changing the starting lineup effectively, right? And look at his answer, which is absolutely dodging that question completely.
I mean, practice is almost not always the same, but of course you got some different lineups out there because it's practice, everybody getting to know each other. But at the end of the day, like I said to my teammates, everybody as an individual got to look in the mirror because, I mean, that game last night was on me for sure at the end. But, I mean...
But, see, the game was on me, but that's the negation.
We still got 12 guys out there. Plus.
So was it on you or was it not on you? See, it's like when you apologize, right? When you apologize and you say, it's on me, that's it. It's on you. That's it. You don't get to say, it's on me, but we have 12 guys. This is what I despised about Fred VanVleet. Same conversation we're having about
the coach, plus the organization. At the end of the day, everybody just got to look in the mirror, be better on the defensive end, guarding one-on-one, be in shifts, follow the system and the game plan. And when we do that, we're capable of beating good teams, and we just got to, stick to it.
Dennis, not to linger, this is the last question I'm going to ask you on last night, but when you have a tough night, do you avoid social media? Because I think for people like us, we're on social media like pretty much all the time, part of our jobs. It's like an overwhelming amount of response. And I can only imagine how much you get as an athlete. So what is your approach to dealing with that after a tough game or even after a good game?
It's funny because Will Liu and Dennis Schroder both avoid social media because of the same fucking person.
No, I mean I do the same thing. I mean, that's not gonna define me if I post if my drop tomorrow coming out, you know, for that stuff, my closing line or a YouTube video dropping. So at the end of the day, like I said, it's still the same energy, you know. I mean, to have 82 games in the season in 6 months, what you putting on your body, the pressure, all the fans who's out there try to cheer for you. I mean, it comes a lot, you know, with being a professional athlete and playing in the NBA. Yeah, so at the end of the day, I'm grateful, of course, but it's not going to change if I have a bad game or I lost the game. I'm going to still keep the same energy. Same energy when I got to the arena today, to the facility. Being around my teammates, still the same thing. I mean, I've been here 11 years now, so no, go ahead. 11 years, and I mean, if somebody outside of, you know, my teammates and my family telling me I can't do nothing, I'll need to hear it because they probably never, you know, been on that court and did something. So at the end.
Oh my God. Did he just quote Fred VanVleet from last year?
It's just a remix version.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the exact same fucking thing. Nobody outside of my teammates can tell me, oh my God, where is that Fred VanVleet clip? Oh my God. I'm sorry, I hadn't watched this whole thing.
Today, I know who I can trust, who I can talk to, and I know what I'm capable of. So you got to be confident. So I mean, that's about it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow.
The scary thing is today he was on his best behavior, 10 shots in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But again, 3 of 10, 0 for 4. He's a rhythm player. He can't take like 1 or 2 shots in a quarter. That's not who he is. He doesn't. The thing that's breaking my heart, Rob, the thing that breaks my heart for this team is we all know he struggles on the bench.
Yeah.
We all know Dennis playing this way, trying to resist hero ball, is going to struggle with the starting unit. Just flip those two. One is historically better as a starter, and one's historically better as a bench guy. But that is the quickest solve. Did you know there was a stat I saw the other day? It was like replacing Dennis with Gary in the starting unit. That lineup has played, I think, less than 10 minutes the entire year. We don't even get to see it. Dennis plays he gets 30 minutes a night so often, we don't get to see certain lineups. Like today, we saw so many of Scottie and Pascal two-man action, right? Where they actually worked off each other because finally Dennis got out of the way. Now imagine Dennis is on the bench and you bring Gary to spread the floor for them.
Bro, imagine if Dennis is on the bus. Fuck the bench. Just leave him on the bus.
I mean, I remember I sent you the trade where of the Pascal OG combining them because Pascal as an asset right now is a struggle to move. But my whole thought process of that was there's a world where OG just leaves to Indiana. Because it's like, if you're OG, you remember when you talked about OG's development, how it was stunted? They came in and pegged him into a role. Meanwhile, Pascal got to spread his wings. Fred got to spread his wings. Norm got to spread his wings early, right? Scottie a bit. Even Precious gets to do more and make mistakes. Gary was a starter and he had his, you know, Lou Will type of thing. OG, if you're OG and you're like, okay, I've played behind all these guys and now I'm playing behind Dennis in usage when I can just go over to Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana where it's better for me, right?
Yeah.
Even Gary, like, why would Gary come back? If this continues, why would Gary come back? If there's another option.
That's the scary thing. I mean, you know, you could lose all 3 of these guys. They're all unrestricted. That's the whole concept of unrestricted free agency, right?
In all honesty, if you are OG's agent and theoretically Indiana and Philadelphia offer him the max, those are better situations for him. And historically, Toronto, what they've done to you by pegging you in as a 3-and-D guy, you do all the dirty work, or guys who you believe are less deserving of shots take them over you, right?
Yeah. No, I hear you, and it's a really sad thing to think about, that you could lose not one, not two, but all three of these guys for absolutely nothing. You could also lose Otto for absolutely nothing. That's 4. So 4 of your best players, 4 of your 8 best players could be gone for nothing.
For nothing.
That is just scary, because you're not a free agent destination.
No, you're not.
Right. And I mean, you're not going to have a ton of cap space, even if all 4 of them leave for absolutely nothing. You wouldn't have, like, you would never get better without those guys. There's no chance in hell that those 4 guys leave for nothing and you get better somehow.
At that point, you're honestly looking at now trading Scottie Barnes is now on the table if they all leave for free. Because what's the point now?
Trading Scottie? No, fuck no. I mean, you tank. Obviously, you would tank.
You're starting. It's a little. If they leave, Rob, it's Scottie Barnes and nothing.
Dennis Schroder. Nothing. You got 1 more year of Dennis Schroder. You got 3 more years of Jakob Poeltl.
Oh, okay, I forgot. Yeah, you're right.
Sing the praises. You got 1 more year of Jalen McDaniels. You got potentially an extended Precious Achiuwa and Malachi Flynn.
We love giving 2-year deals, don't we? We love giving 2-year deals to bench guys.
Oh yeah,
we love it. There should be a show of guys who got 1-year deals under like 4 million, 5 million, doing more.
Yeah, it's just going to be Scottie and G Leaguers basically, and Jakob.
Vivek, Jacob brought up what you did, where we're no longer winning on the margins. That's the most depressing part. Like, we're winning no trades, right? We're winning no signings. Even Otto, unfortunately, he's always hurt. So, but it's like you kept Malachi Flynn and you let Doughton walk. Doughton's better. Even if you don't believe Jeff Doughton's an NBA player, we know Malachi Flynn isn't.
He played well tonight. He's had some good games. He's had some bad games. I don't know, man. It's weird. Like, everyone has bad games, right? But the type of bad games that some of these players have are inexcusably bad. Like, they stranglehold your entire offense. They can't, like, either like I've watched other players have like a tough game, right? I've watched Austin Reeves have a tough game, or I've watched, even Anthony Davis have a tough game, not to compare to those guys, but like even, Jamal Murray or Aaron Gordon or whatever. But it's like their tough games aren't this tough, But granted, I'm talking about much better players, but still, like, I think from the Raptors' perspective, like when Malachi or Precious or Boucher, when these guys are just not on, like, they're killing your offense,
Our standards are so low because Chad's saying Malachi played well. Yes, but again, Malachi is beating Terry Rozier off the dribble while he closes out. Should we have a parade? Our standards are so low. Did you see Nembhard the other day? Did you see Andrew Nembhard breaking zones in the semifinals?
Dude, I think Andrew Nembhard's like 4 times better than Malachi Flynn, maybe 5 times better than Malachi Flynn. And he's a 2nd-round pick from last year. So what does that say?
And that's another thing in terms of winning.
So he's younger. So he's a younger player, right? He's a marginally younger player than Andrew Nembhard. Sorry, than Malachi Flynn. He's bigger, and he's better, and he's in his 2nd year. So again, what does that say about Malachi Flynn? What does that say about Andrew Nembhard? And what does that say about the Raptors, that they have chosen over and over to, like, what is the best case scenario for Malachi Flynn?
Bingo. That's the $1 million question.
Right. So that's, like, I think when I look at, and that was sort of my argument in the beginning of the season too, is like, at best, he ends up being a subpar backup point guard for you. Like, there's no future in which he's a starting point guard. I just don't see it. But
the thing that hurts about this game and this losing streak is it would feel so much better if Christian Koloko and Grady Dick were on the court.
it would.
It feels so much better. So much better. And the thing that's hopeful is the kids, the young guys, they brought us into this game. They brought the comeback. Jakob, Siakam, and Dennis were on the bench when we made our comeback, right?
Right.
How many times with the We the North, DeMar was on the bench when we roared back, right? Like it was like Lowry on the bench, and we just come storming back. And then Dwayne Casey's there, like, I can't bench DeMar, I can't bench DeMar, I can't bench DeMar.
Right. I don't know, man. It's this game sort of just took the. I mean, I don't know. Partially, it's because I'm sick, but I've never felt so zapped of energy after a game. It's just like, holy shit! Like, against a Lamelo-less. I mean, you can lose to anyone in the NBA. The league is very talented right now.
Yeah.
But to think that, like, you have lost 4 of 5 going in, like, to me, this is very much like losing. Like, this team being 9-13 right now, it's getting dangerously close to your best case scenario is going to be playing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
You're
scary.
Not in the play-in. Like, yeah, that'd be your best case scenario. Like, you got to go on a run to make the play-in. That's where we're headed. And here's a question: do you think that Darko's losing the locker room?
I don't know, but certainly
the effort on defense is it's very, because with Nurse he had more consistent effort, right? And Casey did. I mean, last year.
I mean, think about this: like, the Raptors went 4-0 against the Hornets last year, right? 4-0. They beat them 4 times. First time that they lost. So, yeah. I mean, not that I necessarily think scheme-wise that Nurse was necessarily coaching this team better. But yeah, I think this is the gap between a Dennis Schroder and a Fred VanVleet, to be honest. Like, there is a significant gap between these two players.
It's this combination of lack of talent, lack of IQ, and then Darko's insistence on certain rotations and lineups.
Mm-hmm.
That recipe, you can lose to anybody on any night. It's a disastrous combination. And most of us, what we're asking for is to Darko to stop his contribution to that disastrous combination, right?
Yeah.
That's the quickest fix. The trades, I feel, will come, but the quickest fix is what Darko can do, and he's not doing it. So it's like it's going to explode every other game.
I mean, to the point of, is Darko losing the locker room? If I was in that locker room, I think I would be looking around saying, like, is this guy for real about continuing to start this guy?
Oh, of course. I'm sure he's lost. I'm sure he's lost a couple guys when he took Gary up and brought Dennis in at the end of that game. Like, when you start doing things like that, the favoritism becomes so blatant. Where now the media storm is kicking in. When you have shows like Willie Lou and reporters finally asking serious questions and doing some real journalism, you know you messed up. Because they play softball with certain guys.
They do. And I mean, it's funny because they asked Dennis to his face about changing the starting lineup. And what's crazier still is there was a, like the Raptors, I think, TSN segment or whatever. Every time they cut from the break to the 2 guys in the studio, they were like, Raptor fans have been calling for a change in the starting lineup. Interesting. I mean, it's this widespread at this point.
I'm starting to play a game with myself where it's like at the end of games, and like the way today it was like, is he going to bring Dennis back in? Right.
Yep.
And
I cashed out. I cashed out on my bet the second he brought Dennis back in. I was like,
is he gonna bring
this
Dennis
game's
back
over.
in, right? And it's like it becomes like a joke to myself where it's like, well, he can't bring him to the scores table because that's too blatant. So it's like he has to wait for a stoppage and play with like 3 minutes left to kind of like sneak him in, through the back door.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm telling you, Rob, the day he benches Dennis is the day this thing turns around. Because even Boucher, did you see the moment where Darko comes up to Boucher and he like grabs him because Boucher's like playing well or something? I think he's praising him or something.
Mhm.
It's like even Boucher, he comes in at the second quarter at the 8-minute mark. Like it's just his template of rotations, man. I told you, this guy, he can FaceTime. He can coach via FaceTime. Like there's nothing. Even the other broadcast crew said, why did he take Scottie out? He was cooking. They said that.
Which game?
This one, the Hornets crew. They said, why did he take Scottie out?
You were watching the Hornets broadcast?
No, I was listening to people who were who were listening to it. I was reading what they were saying.
Interesting.
They're confused. They're like, why did he take him out? I mean, he's supposedly your future. Do teams normally neuter their future? And also, last thing, draw a play at the final, at the end. Draw a play, dude. I don't know if the play broke down, but I don't know, man.
Yeah.
You think there was a play there? You think that was a play, and it just?
I have a feeling there was, and then it just broke down. Like I'd be very curious to hear the post game, but they haven't posted it yet. So unfortunately, we might have to. They did. Yay!
And Scottie and Pascal played well together for the first time, I think, in ever.
But they didn't really, did they? They kind of played well in spurts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they both were efficient. 25, 31, both efficient. When was the last time that happened?
Right, but what I'm saying is like it's not like they got it going together.
At the same time, yeah.
Yeah, it was like my turn, your turn, So that sort of shows you like they really don't play. I mean, actually, there was one stretch where Siakam started to get Barnes going, and then Barnes started to get Siakam going. So yeah, you're right. They did play well together. You're right. Yeah.
And like, it's one thing when people were like, you thought to yourself, is Nurse going to get fired over his obsession with Fred? And now it's like, there are people actually calling for Darko's head, right? That's a thing now. I'm even seeing it in chat. And it's like,
have you ever seen a coach like have...
You're gonna risk your basketball future for Dennis? At least Nurse had a resume and he has offers. Like, he's gonna get a job quick. Like, for all this for Dennis? Like, this is insanity.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think, like, again, like, this entire narrative that it's just Darko wanting to play Dennis or whatever, I think, like, you could certainly make a case that, yeah, it is, but there's a chance that this is mandated from above.
And what's the logic behind that? Get his value up?
I have no idea.
Manufacture assets?
Man, I'm just hoping that Darko is not
because
like this tunnel visioned and blind to things.
I can tell you, there are 7 teams you cannot trade Dennis to, and those are the 7 teams he's played for. So write those off. Right?
This comment is so funny. Oak Tree 34. Ride or die. Darko's trying to turn a hoe into a housewife. Oh, shout outs to those lyrics. You can't turn a hoe into a housewife. Hoes don't act right. Ludicrous. All right. Yeah. All right. We're going to go to the post game. Thanks a lot for calling in, Coach Mo. Some very much needed energy infused into my sleepy ass, tired ass, sick ass live. But yeah.
But Dennis only played 30 minutes, so the minutes are going down. So that's a positive. He only played 30 minutes.
This is true.
We'll see if he cracks under 30 minutes. That's the next goal. Does he play under 30 minutes? Is that possible?
It would be great. Yeah. I would like to see 18 minutes personally, but yeah.
Oh, no. I'm here for Daco. I'm a leader. I lead at least 29.
Peace, man.
See ya.
See ya. Okay, here's your post game.
This one, you guys made a big comeback in the fourth quarter, but couldn't pull it out. What happened?
Start of the game was flat. We did not do a good job coming out with effort and energy that any NBA team deserves respect. And after that, we found a way for 3.5 quarters. We were a better team. We did a lot of really good stuff. With 32 assists, we dominated the glass tonight. We won the turnover battle. We scored 74 points in the paint. At the end of the day, our shots that were good quality threes, we did not make them tonight, and they make some high quality shots, threes that were even high contested. They made those shots there down the stretch. They make a couple of big shots.
I'm sure you might feel like a broken record by now, but how do you address just like the lack of shooting from beyond the arcs, as well as coming out strong in games, like the energy that they have in the fourth quarter? How do you take that to the beginning of the game?
It's something that we're constantly trying to figure out. We're talking about it. We're addressing it. We are trying different things defensively there to get our guys going, to be more aggressive. And at the end of the day, we gotta stick together. We gotta be a team. We're going through adversity now, and this can be good for us if we use it the right way. To use that as a fuel for us to get us motivated and to get us ready for the next game.
And then just last question, in terms of just the rotations, you got great efforts tonight from Malachi, Chris, as well as Precious. Did you at any point think to go back to that lineup towards the end, or what was your reasoning behind just going back to the starting unit to close it out?
I thought the starting unit for a big part there, they did a solid job there. Finishing the game and a couple of mistakes that we had with switching, with fouling those guys, sending the free throw line that costed us. But we trust those guys to finish the game. They got to do their job, and also those guys were running in some heavy minutes there, so wanted to go with some freshness more to finish the game.
And sorry, real quick, how's Otto doing?
Otto is doing well. He did his X-ray, and those results came negative, so he's okay.
All right, Scottie, walk me through this one. Obviously, slow start to begin it. Great run in the fourth, but just couldn't close it out. What did you see?
Like you said, slowed us off the game. They got to a solid lead on us, a big lead. So it was just trying to fight our way back throughout the whole game. Finally got there. They got some key offensive rebounds to some kick-out threes. They made some tough shots down the stretch. Didn't make the free throw, the 3 free throws, and then the last shot. So they got the dub.
Despite those free throws, you still had a triple-double tonight. What was working, just for you mentally? How are you in rhythm?
No, just running a simple pick and roll action. Just be able to make reads through that. Let me get downhill, pass the ball inside, make a read to kick out 3 or a dunker, or just take the layup. And it was just working, so we just kept going back to it.
What is it about the fourth quarter where you guys are able to just find a spurt of energy, but it's tough to see that same spurt, off the top of the game?
We just got to come out and play with urgency from the beginning. Lock in mentally, create stops, and let that lead us to transition on offensive end. Let our defense create offense, and that's where it all started. Once we start on defense, then everything else will start get it going.
Scottie, great game. Tell us about the last shot. You think it was going in?
I thought it was going to go in, but even if it went in, it was still a 2. Just watching it back, it was a 2-pointer.
It was 2.
Good game, my boy.
Precious, the starts have been a point of emphasis. Communication with this team has been a point of emphasis. How do you address, a loss like tonight after you guys really did have a nice rally back in the fourth?
I mean, we just got to, finish the game. We got to start the game the way we finish in the game. That just goes to, like you said, communication. We got to play the right way from the beginning, attack the game from the beginning instead of trying to bounce back every time.
You had a really strong performance tonight despite the loss. What was working in that bench unit to start off that fourth quarter run?
I mean, we were just, playing together. Like I said, we were just playing together instead of us. Our challenge for ourselves was just to come out there, play the right way, and just be aggressive, and good things are going to happen.
How do you continue to build off of, losses like these when, a couple of them, they start stacking up?
You just got to, play the right way. I think you play the right way, things are going to fall into place.
Interesting. So, very interesting response from Darko Rajakovic. Kudos to Savannah Hamilton for asking that question about, I think it was Savannah Hamilton, for asking the question about why the starters came back into the game. Because I think, and this is just my opinion, if the starters don't come back into the game, you win this game. Interesting note, observation. I remember one of the early losses in this season. I can't remember who it was against. And we saw Scottie post-game. And he looked so defeated. Like he looked so visibly upset that they had lost. Almost like he had come out expecting to go and win 70 games this year. And now it doesn't even seem to faze him too much. I mean, I'm sure it matters. Yeah. Karen, thank you so much. Yes, it was against the Bulls. You're right. It was something he took very personally. Naturally, he took it personally that he jumped into DeMar DeRozan, committing the foul. Kudos to him for, just unprompted accepting that, he took a two. I think when you're an NBA player, when your team has a chance, right? And everyone thinks they have a chance in preseason, and everyone thinks they have a chance in training camp because you haven't played anybody. You haven't seen what it looks like. But once you've gotten 20, 22 games under the belt, you understand as a team, you see that you don't have a chance. And I think the Raptors right now are a team that knows they don't have a chance. Look at the record. This is 9-13. Okay. They've lost 3 straight. They've lost 5 of their last 6. So this is tough. And it's not getting easier. And I mean, you're looking at a team like the Atlanta Hawks, the Brooklyn Nets, right? Like they are teams that certainly they're not less talented than you, right? Like none of these teams above you are less talented than you. Wouldn't you agree with that? I mean, you could make a case that the Brooklyn Nets are less talented, but like for the most part, almost every team above you has a very good case to be above you. So I think from the Raptors perspective, like you need to look at this and just say, like, we need to make a change. Make a change to the starting lineup. See what happens with that. I would say we have more talent than the Nets. I mean, you do and you don't. I mean, they missed Cam Thomas for a large part of the season, but they have Cam Johnson, they have Mikal Bridges. I mean, these are serious NBA players. You can certainly make a case that you're more talented than the Nets, and maybe that is the team that ultimately you do bounce out of the top 10. But yeah, I mean, this is not where you want to be. This is not where you want to be. You're basically one game ahead of the Chicago Bulls, a team that has been pretty much like for the last week and a half, they felt like their entire season's over. And you don't want to end up 10th or 9th. You don't want to end up in a play-in situation and then ultimately what is the point of the play-in? You're going to end up facing probably Milwaukee, Orlando, or Boston for, a first round matchup. Whereas, okay, like certainly I could make a case that, against Orlando, I wouldn't hate that first round matchup. But if you end up 8th, having to face Boston, a 4 or 5 game sweep or 4-game sweep or a 5-game loss, like playing for what? Mr. Shadow's saying, playing for what? Certainly. So, look, I think for the Raptors, like the only way this is going to be a successful season for me is if you end up top 6, right? That was going to be a successful season for me. And certainly make a case that, when I look at the Indiana Pacers, the New York Knicks, I think the Raptors should have been there. But lineup optimization, late game management, just overall coaching of Darko Rajakovic has left a lot to be inspired. I know everyone wants to just point at the roster, the bench, etc. But I think there's just a lot of guys who are not performing well. And I think a lot of the reasons they're not performing well is because of where they're being put and the players that they're playing with. So, I don't know. Onward and upward. I hope that let's just take a look at the Raptors schedule going forward. Hang on one second. See what's coming up. Yikes. So you have the Knicks, the Hawks, the Hornets again, and then the Nuggets. Okay. So realistically, you could potentially lose the next 3 very easily. Or you could win the next 3, and then suddenly we're back into hopeful territory. I don't know. This is a baffling loss. It's a baffling loss, and yet, certainly the way they came out, I think the Hornets deserve to win. I think they deserve to win, and they won. Good game for Scottie. I mean, I think to some extent, I hate to say this as a Raptor fan, but I was rooting for the Hornets for some part of this. Because I kept thinking to myself, knowing this front office and the way they operate, if this team is around 500, they will never, ever make drastic changes, right? The further they drift from 500, just again, going back to how they operated with the Rudy Gay trade, everyone, at least I certainly felt at the time that the Rudy Gay thing was not working, but they needed the team to go 6-12 before they could pull the plug. Okay. So, we're now 9-13. So maybe 9-15, they will pull the plug. So next game will be 9-14 if they lose to the Knicks. And then 9-15 if they lose to the Hawks. Boom. So 9-15 would be 6 games under 500. 6 games under 500 feels to me to be a very significant mark for this team. And just an FYI, that will be December 15th, which would be the first day that Jalen McDaniels, Dennis Schroder, and Jakob Poeltl can be traded. Yeah. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I apologize a lot that this live, like my energy on this live was just so bad. It's not just because I watched like this depressing ass game. It's largely because I have like a massive fever. I don't know, like, sorry, I'm American, so we do Fahrenheit. But in terms of Celsius, like my fever was 39 degrees. Yeah. So I spent most of the day sleeping, and I was just like, I gotta do this live. It was a lot worse like 6 hours ago, but it got better. So hopefully, yeah. But hopefully for the Knicks post game, I will be much better and feel better. I feel a lot better already. I had chills all day. Feel better. That's funny. Is it COVID? No, it's not. Thankfully, we did the test. It's not. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Lakers and the Pacers tomorrow. That should be fun. I am obviously rooting for the Pacers. I am such a freaking huge Tyrese Halliburton fan. I think I've talked about it many, many, many times. I just think he's a brilliant player. I think he's really fun to watch, and watching him pull the Dame time clock yesterday against Damian Lillard, that was awesome. It was just beautiful to see. I appreciate it. Pacers bandwagoner. Yo, man, if the season continues to go the way it's going, like I might start doing like some Pacers post games as well. I'm not kidding. Like so in terms of my favorite teams in the league, it's the Raptors, the Pacers, the Pelicans, the Nuggets, and the Celtics. Like those are my 5 favorite teams, and pretty much like in any situation, I'll root for those teams. Largely because I don't know. Like with the Pelicans, it's weird because like it's not even that I like Zion. It's just that like everyone else on that team other than Zion. And with the Pacers, obviously it's just Tyrese. It's mainly Tyrese Halliburton. Rob, last year you're talking about doing Denver content this year lives. Is that still going to happen? I don't think so, man. Do you agree with what people are saying about Tyrese Halliburton's shot looking janky? Yeah, it does look janky. It's always looked janky. It's looked janky since college. It looked janky in, Sacramento. It looked janky in Indiana. It's always looked janky, but it goes in. So what are you gonna say? LeVar Ball saying, "How do you feel about Jarris Walker and a Pascal trade?" I would love it. I like Jarris a lot, actually. Jarris Walker. So in terms of the Indiana Pacers youth, I think the one guy that has a lot of value is Benedict Mathurin. Not necessarily my favorite player, right? But I like Andrew Nembhard and I like Jarris Walker. I'm trying to think who else I like on that team in terms of young players. Those are the 2 guys that I like. You not getting Mathurin. Don't want Mathurin. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a fan of him at the draft. He came out like gangbusters in the first half of his rookie season, so I was like, maybe I was wrong. But yeah, this might be an anchoring bias thing, but I didn't like him at Arizona, and I don't really like him now. I would love to tell you that coaching makes such a significant difference. But you know what's funny? Darko Rajakovic's lineups have been so bad. Coaching might actually be making that big of a difference. And he really, really needs to. I think Masai Ujiri needs to have a conversation with him. If this is coming from him, if this insistence on bringing Dennis back no matter what, come hell or high water, yeah, like that's. Yeah, that would be great. I would like to see Grady back in the because I mean shit, man, we are 9-13, and we have a 13th overall pick who's sitting in the G League right now. I just don't get it. Put Kuminga on the Raptors. He's the next James Harden. Jesus Christ. Okay. Mark Anderson, did you go to ChatGPT and say what is the most ridiculous basketball take in the history of the world and just paste it? Yes, I am aware. Scottie masterclass at the Garden soon. Oh, it's a road game, eh? Like the next game is going to be at New York. Shit. Yeah, I don't necessarily think the Knicks are so great, but they're certainly better than the Raptors this year. And yeah, like there's just a lot of size, and Jalen Brunson's a lot to deal with for Dennis Schroder, man. I think like more than anything, what was so disheartening in today's game, and also like just the last few games, has been the defense for the Raptors. The offense is going to be hit or miss, all year when you're not this talented. But the defense for the Raptors needed to be top 5 for this team to be good, and it just hasn't been. It started out pretty good, but it hasn't been good lately. Yeah. No, it's not. Yeah. Anyways, guys, take care and have a good night. And hopefully, I don't know, hope for better things for the Raptors. And once again, I apologize for the super low energy live. Peace.